Big time fight coming up this weekend at featherweight. We have the former lightweight great Junior Edson Barboza. He's taking on Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell. This one at featherweight. Both of these guys ranked in this division. It's number 10 versus number 11. And for the undefeated Bryce Mitchell, it's been an interesting road, I guess, to say the least, in his UFC tenure. We're only going to talk about this fight. I don't care about the extracurriculars as it pertains.
I don't even know why we brought it up, Craig.
Against Edson Barboza. But when I look at this, all-time featherweight records for Bryce Mitchell. Number 2 in strikes absorbed per minute at 1.46. Number 1, my guy, Ronnie Yaya. When I look down through it, you've got number 4 in submission average per 15 minutes at 2.33. Number 4 for control per time percentage at 50.4%. When you look at Bryce Mitchell's overall performances in the UFC, I mean, he just dominates the grappling. He beats Tyler Diamond in the Ultimate Fighter finale. Obviously, that one wasn't for, the trophy, but it still was a win to get him into the UFC. He fights Bobby Moffett. That one was a fight of the night. He has a performance bonus against Matt Sale. He wins by twister. Matt Sale's a guy who went up past 200 pounds for his last fight.
Not good.
And did not look very good in that one. He then goes and fights Charles Rosa. Now, for Bryce Mitchell, you look at that fight, 30-25, 30-25, 30-24. And he didn't even finish that fight. And he barely even struck in that fight. It was his dominant grappling. And his last time out against Andre Fili, he went 7-13 in his takedowns. And in a 15-minute fight, he controlled 10 minutes and change of that one. But for Bryce Mitchell, he's been out for over a year, which is an interesting thing when you really look at it in terms of his overall career. He's not a guy that fights all that regularly, and he gets his biggest opportunity of his career, taking on Barboza, that again, when I think of Edson Barboza, I think of, okay, well, he fought Khabib. He didn't win that fight. He has the biggest highlight reel knockout you've ever seen against Terry Edom. And mixed in there are wild wins over guys like Shane Burgos in this division.
Beneil Dariush, he KO'd dead.
Beneil Dariush, kind of crazy. And 78% takedown defense. Now, it's been tested at featherweight, and even Makwan Amirkhani was able to go 3-6 in his attempts. And that was just back in 2020. And oh, by the way, Barboza's last fight, about 5 months, 3 weeks ago, since he fought Giga Chikadze, where he got outstruck to then get knocked out. So it was a really tough loss for him. But in this fight, it really is a tale of two different fighters. The grappling of Mitchell, the striking of Barboza, and the in-betweens between the two.
Yeah, these guys' styles mix like oil and water. They are polar opposites with how they express their mixed martial arts. Because for Bryce Mitchell, it's weird. I don't think he's a bad striker by any means, and I do think we have to say that right away. Because there's a lot of guys who are very grappling heavy, and it's because their striking isn't great, so they really have to rely on that. Tagir Ulanbekov is a guy on this card who we previously talked about being very uncomfortable on the feet, not to put it too negative of a light, but when he gets it on the mat, we all know how special he can be. With Mitchell, he can get some work done on the feet. He does have a decent jab, but he's got sort of stifling stand-up. I always put it in the category of someone like a Gerald Mearshart, who they realize, okay, I don't need to be great at striking because I'm great at grappling. I just need to be able to hold my own in some of these exchanges so that then I can get the fight to where I need it. I think Mitchell falls into that category. But against Edson Barboza, unless you are a lifelong striker, you're going to be at a massive striking disadvantage against someone as credited as Barboza is in MMA. And that's the thing. It's not like Barboza's a Muay Thai striker, a kickboxer, a boxer. He is an MMA striker to perfection because he's been in MMA for so long now. He's been in the UFC for, over a decade at this point. So it's wild to me that we are still seeing Edson Barboza fighting at the top of this division, and that the division he's fighting near the top of is featherweight and not lightweight. But I'm just going to go back to that Beneil Dariush fight really quick, because I think that's going to be a really important fight when we talk about this one. Against Dariush, who is a phenomenal grappler, we all know how good he is on the mat, a really tricky striker, someone with really good cardio, a questionable chin, we'll say, but a very well-rounded and a very talented fighter. Edson Barboza started that fight off not looking very good whatsoever. Dariush was landing a lot of jabs, he was able to move forward a lot, but the second Edson Barboza was able to get the timing of Dariush down, he was really able to open up a lot with his leg kicks and a lot with his right hand left hook combo. It's something he goes to quite a bit throughout his fights. And that's what I think is going to be really interesting. If Mitchell can't get the first takedown attempt, because I expect him to shoot for a takedown 10 seconds into this fight, I don't think he's going to want to even try to eat one leg kick from someone like Edson Barboza, because I may have discredited the striking of Giga when he fought Edson Barboza the last time out. I thought, okay, if these guys are getting into a 15-minute, let's call it kickboxing fight, because neither guy's grapple heavy, then Edson will be the winner. Turns out, Giga Chikadze, very, very good at MMA striking as well. But I do feel very confident in saying, like, if Bryce Mitchell even stands with Barboza for a couple minutes without mixing in a takedown attempt, I do think he's going to get knocked out. That's the difference of striking between these two guys. If you can read the jab of Beneil Dariush to set him up for a flying knee, I think you'll be able to knock out someone like Bryce Mitchell on the feet. But the flip side is, and I'm glad you brought up the Makwan and Amirkhani fight, is that Makwan, also not very good on the feet, but a supremely skilled grappler, was able to get Barboza down to the mat. The difference was he wasn't able to really hold him there for any length of time, so that's really the X factor in this fight. If Mitchell is able to get him down, can he then hold him down? But if Barboza's able to keep this on the feet, like, it might be hard to watch.
Well, the crazy thing is, for Bryce Mitchell, he's a grappler who happens to strike to open up his grappling, and sometimes he doesn't even need to. He can just go across the cage, get the takedown. No real threat against some of these opponents. It's not like Andre Fili's some wild knockout artist, but I will say, that's a good win. Andre Fili is a credited fighter at featherweight. He's fought Max Holloway, he's fought some big guys, and he's had some nice wins. He beat Charles Jourdain. Yair Rodriguez was a good fight that he had in the past. Win, lose, or draw. Andre Fili's a good fighter. That's a good win for Bryce Mitchell. He dominated with the grappling in that fight. But for Mitchell, he's one of those guys, strike, reset. Yeah, on those resets, you get torn apart by a guy like Edson Barboza. When I look at this one, though, again, Barboza, it's been a tricky run at featherweight. Did he beat Dan Ige? I thought he did, but it doesn't really matter. The Paul Felder fight was close.
I thought he lost
lightweight.
to Paul Felder, though, to be fair, so I feel like it's just weird.
And then he gets knocked out by Chikadze. So we look at the odds for this one. Barboza open a plus 115. He's a plus 127. Mitchell open a minus 135. He's a minus 155 or thereabouts right now. On best fight odds, we look at the Tapology votes. Surprise to us, they are to you. Matt, I'm going to say over-under on the undefeated fighter at 65%.
Could say under. I think Barboza will be the favorite.
That's slightly under. So 747 total votes. 59% Mitchell, 57% by decision, 33% by submission for the 41% that have Barboza, 34% by decision, 57% by knockout. Edson Barboza. I think the leg kicks can make a giant difference in this fight.
I do too, but I think one twister attempt from Bryce Mitchell can also make a huge difference in this fight. I want to pick Edson Barboza, but I really do think it's like the MMA fanboy in me from the years 2011 to about 2019, and then that part of me died. I think Barboza is going to have a really good opportunity on the feet, but Bryce Mitchell's shown such dominance the second he's able to get fights to the mat that I don't think Barboza is going to be able to have an answer for him if this fight does get to the ground. And again, the MMA fanboy in me would love to see Edson Barboza go out there and rekindle some of his past glory and have some crazy highlight reel knockout. It'd be beautiful to watch, but Bryce Mitchell really does seem to be the future, especially with his grappling in this division. And the thing I'll say too, I know we disagreed a lot about Paulo Costa and his cardio. It's been a bit of a joke on this channel. Bryce Mitchell's grappling is so good that he cannot have bad cardio. He grapples at such a pace and with such variety to his grappling that I don't think it's going to be a case of, oh, what if he grapples himself into exhaustion in round 1 and 2 and he's a bit of a sitting duck in round 3. I really do think Mitchell has that kind of staying power late in fights to where if he is grappling a lot, even if he is striking a lot early in the fight, I do think he will have staying power later on to where he won't be a sitting duck. So for me, I have Bryce Mitchell, but I feel like I'm going to look stupid no matter what. If I pick Barboza, he's going to get twisted or like heel hooked. And if I pick Bryce Mitchell, he's going to get wheel kicked. So I'm not going to look smart no matter what I say, but the prediction will be Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah, it feels like a trap card type of fight because Barboza could go out there and do what he did to Dan Hooker.
Oh.
Or, yeah, he goes out there and Habib's a stretch, but we've seen him in fights where he's been taken down. I mean, Kevin Lee. We can go with Kevin Lee, future champ. But when I look at this one, yeah, I mean, you look at the strike differential for Bryce Mitchell. He's never getting hit because he's taking guys down. It's like the Islam Makhachev. And is his takedown accuracy the greatest? Not necessarily. Is his defense good? No, but who's trying to take him down? And if he gets taken down, it's his world. Like,
thank you.
It's like Peter Barrett. Remember him? His tagline, Slippery's World. Well, we're in Slippery's World when we're grappling with Bryce Mitchell. I have Bryce Mitchell in this fight because of how good his grappling is. Edson Barboza is one of those guys, as the fight goes on, it's like he's fighting in Bangkok and it's just Muay Thai. His hands start to go down. He just huffs and puffs and gets mad. And then he starts throwing that chopping kick to the lead leg.
Screwed.
Like, he just gets so mad. But for me, I have Bryce Mitchell. I have to go with his grappling in this fight, and it's one of those ones where you're right. Like the fanboy, the guy coming up that was just a fan of the sport, loving Edson Barboza and the performances he was able to put on, win, lose, or draw, to now in 2022, it'd be great to see him rekindle some of that for another win. I do see Bryce Mitchell winning.
This is what I'm going to say about Edson, though. Everybody talks about his kicks. His left hook is by far his best weapon in his whole entire arsenal. Watch out for that attack because he does like going right hook to the body, left hook up top, and it's a combo he throws quite a bit. If he is able to get that going against Bryce Mitchell, like he almost knocked out Kevin Lee with it in the 5th round of their fight. I know a lot of people bring up the wheel kick in the 3rd round, but he was having success later on. And I brought up the cardio of Bryce Mitchell. It has to be said that for a guy who is very kick heavy and a power puncher in Barboza, you normally think, oh, Conor McGregor, fighters like that who, if they knock you out, it's in the 1st round and then we worry about it later on. Barboza does have phenomenal cardio for some guy who is as old as he is, who is fighting a weight class down from where he traditionally fought. It's really impressive to see just how competitive he's been able to maintain this later half of his career. But again, I think Bryce Mitchell, a title shot one day might be a stretch because 145 is as talented as any division in the UFC. But I really do think Bryce Mitchell's going to be in the rankings for years to come.
Both of us going with Thug Nasty to get the win. Let us know down below in the comments section if you have Barboza, if you have Mitchell, and if you're going to tune in for the co-main event, the battle of RDA and Fiziev, and in the main event, and hey, that co-main event, 5 rounds, so kind of crazy there. Definitely works to the style of one fighter more so than the other. And in the main event, Covington versus Masvidal, the bad blood. Keep it locked in with Fight Name Picks. We always say, let's get into it.